Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Salutations to Ramana, who shines as a self in all beings. We begin today's Saturday Satsang with a prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, followed by the chanting of the Muktaka trayam by Kumari Revathi Shankar.
Dakshinamurti Sarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ramanacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarvavangmayam Aharyam Chandrataradi Tam Namasatvikam Shivam Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Ekam aksharam hridi nirantaram bhasate swayam likhyate katham hridaya kuhara madhye kevalam brahma matram hyahamaham sakshat atmarupena bhati hridi vishamanasa swam chinvata majjatava pavana chalana rodhanat atmanishto bhavatvam deham mrinmaya vajjadatmakam aham buddhirna tasyastyato naham tattadabhavashupti samaye siddhatma sadbhavatah koham bhavayutah kuto varadhiya drishtvatmanishtatmana soham spurtitaya arunachala shivaha purno vibhati swayam soham spurtitaya arunachala shivaha purno vibhati swayam. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with the chanting of a few verses from Upadesa Saram by Kumari Uma Shripati and Srimati Ashwini.
idamaham padam vikyamandaham ahamililake pyalaya sattaya vigrahendriya pranaditama nahamekasattajjadam yasat satvabhasika chitvavetara sattaya viche chittaya hyaham ईश जीवयोर्वेषधीविद सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् वेषहानता स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनम् स्वात्मरूपत आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता अज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपम् इत्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भव आपूर्णचित् सुखम् बन्धमुक्त्यतीतं परं सुखम् विन्दति जीवस्तुतः अहमपेतकम् निज विभानकम् महदिदं तपो रमणवादियम्.
Namo Ramana. We move to the next part of the satsang where we have the offerings of Ramananjali Sangeetam. We will start with an offering by Srimati V. Radha. That will be continued by an offering of Ramananjali song by Dr. Pratibha Sundaresh, and which will be followed by a presentation of Ramananjali song by Savitri Krishnan and Jaisriram Krishnan. The offerings of Ramananjali Sangeetam.
Namo Ramana to all. Today I have selected a song by Sri Muruganar Swami with the heading Annai. The music is by Sri Pugarendi. புத்தமுதச்சுவை பொங்கும் திருவடி வித்தகமேயராலன்னே என்னும் புத்தமுதச்சுவை பொங்கும் திருவடி வித்தகமேயராலன்னே என்னும் வித்தகமேயுடை வேங்கடநாதர் என் சித்தமுறைவரால் அன்னே என்னும் வித்தகமேயுடை வேங்கடநாதர் என் சித்தமுறைவரால் அன்னே என்னும் புத்தமுதச்சுவை பொங்கும் திருவடி வித்தகமேயரால் அன்னே என்னும் பாண்டிச்சுழிய பசுபதி வெங்கடர் காண்டியன் காதலர் அன்னே என்னும் பாண்டிச்சுழிய பசுபதி வெங்கடர் காண்டியன் காதலர் அன்னே என்னும் காண்டியன் காதலர் கண்டுயில் காகினை ஈண்டி திளைப்பரால் அன்னே என்னும் காண்டியன் காதலர் கண்டுயில் காகினை தீண்டி திளைப்பரால் அன்னே என்னும் தீண்டி திளைப்பரால் அன்னே என்னும் புத்தமுதச்சுவை பொங்கும் திருவடி வித்தகமேயரால் அன்னே என்னும் கள்ளம் கவடற்ற காதலுக்கானந்த விளம் கொடுப்பரால் அன்னே என்னும் கள்ளம் கவடற்ற காதலர்கானந்த விளம் கொடுப்பரால் அன்னே என்னும் விளம் கொடுக்குமோ வெங்கடநாதர் என் உளம் கவர்வரால் அன்னே என்னும் விளம் கொடுக்குமோ வெங்கடநாதர் என் உள்ளம் கவர்வரால் அன்னே என்னும் உளம் கவர்வரால் அன்னே என்னும் புத்தமுதச் சுவை பொங்கும் திருவடி வித்தகமேயரால் அன்னே என்னும் புத்தமுதச் சுவை பொங்கும் திருவடி வித்தகமேயரால் அன்னே என்னும் வித்தகமேயுடை வெங்கடநாதர் என் சித்தமுறைவரால் அன்னே என்னும் வித்தகமேயுடை வெங்கடநாதர் என் சித்தமுறைவரால் அன்னே என்னும் சித்தமுறைவரால் அன்னே என்னும் என் சித்தமுறைவரால் அன்னே என்னும். நமோ ரமண.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Since last few weeks, I have been singing songs in praise of Bhagwan's father Sundaramaiah. And then we had a song on Bhagwan's mother Alagammal as Matrubhuteshwara. And then his spiritual father Arunachala. And in this song, Sri Sadhu Om Swami says, salutations to Bhagwan Ramana, who is the mother, father, relative, king, the God himself. He blesses all devotees who seek refuge at his feet. He is the self-effulgent Mauna Guru Dakshinamurti, existing in all three states, feeding self-knowledge to all his sadhakas. தாயே தாமரை தயவே இறைவா தலைவா ரமணா நமோ நமோ. தாயே தாமரை தயவே இறைவா தலைவா ரமணா நமோ நமோ. ஓ தாயே தாமரே தயவே இறைவா தலைவா ரமணா நமோ நமோ. ஓ தாயே தாமரே தயவே இறைவா தலைவா ரமணா நமோ நமோ. தீன தில்லருள் செய்யும் வீரரமணா நமோ நமோ. தீன பக்தி தில்லருள் செய்யும் வீரரமணா நமோ நமோ. துரியாய் அரியாய் சுகமே சுடரே பெரியோய் ரமணா நமோ நமோ. துரியாய் அரியாய் சுகமே சுடரே பெரியோய் ரமணா நமோ நமோ. தூவெளி காணும் தூவொளி கண்ணே ஸ்வயம் பிரகாஷ நமோ நமோ. தென்முகமாகிய மோன சதாசிவ் ஸ்ரீ குருமூர்த்தி நமோ நமோ. தூவெளி காணும் தூவொளி கண்ணே ஸ்வயம் பிரகாஷ நமோ நமோ. தென்முகமாகிய மோன சதாசிவ் ஸ்ரீ குருமூர்த்தி நமோ நமோ. தாயே தாமரே தயவே இறைவா தலைவா ரமணா नमो नमो देव देव महेश परात्परा दीनबन्धो नमो नमो देव देव महेश परात्परा दीनबन्धो नमो नमो தைரியம் கொள்ளும் சாதகர்க்கென்றும் கையீர் கனியே நமோ நமோ தைரியம் கொள்ளும் சாதகர்க்கென்றும் கையீர் கனியே நமோ நமோ தொல்லருணாச்சல ஜோதி ஸ்வரூப வல்லப ரமணா நமோ நமோ தோன்றிப் புவிமேல் சுடரறிவூட்டும் பூன்ற பொருளே நமோ நமோ தொல்லருணாச்சல ஜோதி ஸ்வரூப வல்லப ரமணா நமோ நமோ தோன்றிப் புவிமேல் சுடரறிவூட்டும் பூன்ற பொருளே நமோ நமோ தாமரை தயவே இறைவா தலைவா ரமணா நமோ நமோ ஓ தாயே தாமரே தயவே இறைவா தலைவா ரமணா நமோ நமோ ஓ ஓ நமோ ரமணா
போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி 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 அச்சல போற்றி அந்தன போற்றி குஷலமை ஞான குருஷில் போற்றி பெருந்துயிர் செய்யும் பிறவிப்பினி போர் மருந்தே போற்றி மணியே போற்றி அச்சல போற்றி அந்தன போற்றி குஷலமை ஞான குருஷில் போற்றி பெருந்துயிர் செய்யும் பிறவிப்பினி போர் மருந்தே போற்றி மணியே போற்றி போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி 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 வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி போற்றி தெள்ள தெளிந்த சின்மய போற்றி உள்ளம் கவர்ந்த கள்வா போற்றி அருமையில் எளியே அழகே போற்றி எளிமையில் அறியே எளியே போற்றி தெள்ள தெளிந்த சின்மய போற்றி உள்ளம் கவர்ந்த கள்வா போற்றி அருமையில் எளியே அழகே போற்றி எளிமையில் அறியே எளியே போற்றி போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி 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 வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி போற்றி அச்சா போற்றி அம்மா போற்றி அச்சா இயனல்லறிவே போற்றி உயிரே போற்றி உடம்பே போற்றி உயிருடம்பெல்லாம் உணர்வே போற்றி அச்சா போற்றி அம்மா போற்றி அச்சா இயனல்லறிவே போற்றி உயிரே போற்றி உடம்பே போற்றி உயிருடம்பெல்லாம் உணர்வே போற்றி அடியே போற்றி முடியே போற்றி அடிமுடி ஜெற்ற நந்தா போற்றி மண்ணே போற்றி விண்ணே போற்றி மண்ணினும் விண்ணினும் ஆண்பா போற்றி அடியே போற்றி முடியே போற்றி அடிமுடியற்ற அனந்த போற்றி. மண்ணே போற்றி விண்ணே போற்றி மண்ணினும் விண்ணினும் ஆன்மா போற்றி. போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி போற்றி. போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி போற்றி. போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி போற்றி. வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி போற்றி வெங்கடரமணா போற்றி போற்றி. ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய.
Namo Ramana. Savitri Krishnan and Jaisriram Shri Krishnan reminded us with that photograph of 21-year-old Ramana, which is seen in the Ramana Mandiram in Madurai. And we are nearing the day of Ramana's enlightenment. In our dance ballet, Ramana Leela, the poetess asked the question, the one who was born with the constant remembrance of Arunachala, should he have played this Leela of enlightenment? Does he need any enlightenment? But it is for us to understand the significance of sadhana, the importance of sadhana, that Ramana played this Leela of enlightenment on July 17th, 1896. And he says, for those sadhakas who are courageous, just like Ramana, who was courageous and he faced the fear of death, for them the Ramana's compassion is ever flowing, his grace is ever flowing, and he makes us abide in the self, which is our own true nature and which is deathless. Thank you once again for these beautiful Ramananjali Sangeetam offerings. We continue the satsang with reading and sharing by Sri Nandakumarji. He has been reading from the book Ramana's Muruganar, so let us hear from him.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our satsang, as Ujwalji has said, we have been reading from the work Ramana's Muruganar, a birth centenary collection compiled by our founder president Shri A.R. Natarajanji. We have been reading the article contributed by Sadhuvam Swamigal, where he calls Muruganar as Bhagavan's right hand. And he has explained, as we read in the last week, that whatever was flowing through Bhagavan in spirit, through the mind, was expressed in the right hand of Muruganar Swamigal. So Muruganar Swamigal himself is the right hand of Bhagavan. That is the explanation he gave. We continue by taking up the last sentence we had read last week. The sound of the conch of Sri Bhagavan's verbal teachings, which filled with revolutionary ideas, have entered the world of spirituality, booming like thunder in the form of this work. The sound of the flute of his silence, which is the source and power behind those ideas, are heard in all the many chapters of this work, Guruvachaka Kovai, and piercing deep into the heart of the reader, they open wide his eye of knowledge and immerse him in a flood of wonder and joy. We continue. If we want to verify what the correct teaching of Sri Bhagavan is on any particular subject, the answer will be available in Ulladu Narpadu, Upadesa Undiyar, or Guruvachaka Kovai. Therefore, these three works are the true Sri Ramana Prasthana Traya, the three fundamental texts of Sri Bhagavan's divine revelation, and they are indeed a prasadam of his grace, which the world has received through the agency of Sri Muruganar. So, like the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads and Brahma Sutras form one Prasthanatraya. Here, Bhagavan's Prasthanatraya, according to Sadhuvam Swamigal and according to many of his devotees, is the Ulladinarpadu, Upadesha Undiyar and Guru Vachaka Kovai. There is no wonder in the fact that any true aspirant for liberation who has studied these three great works and understood their import without any doubt or distortion will not find anything to be learnt anew in any of the Vedanta Shastras which existed hitherto, and will feel such Shastras to be insipid like stale gruel offered to one who has just eaten a sumptuous feast. Many years after the first edition of Guru Vachaka Kovai was published, the rare opportunity became available to me to study and enjoy little by little the entire treasure house of the many thousands of sublime verses which were available with Sri Muruganar in manuscript form. Since at that time most of those verses were in a state in which they needed to be fair copied, the grace of Sri Bhagavan engaged me in that service. Like a son who was grief stricken and lamenting, having in his very early childhood lost his father, a peerless emperor who had ruled over the entire world and who had accumulated a vast treasure of inestimable wealth. I was experiencing the misery of having lost Bhagavan. Sadhuvam Swamigal comes to Ramanashram towards the last decade of Bhagavan's life in the mortal coils. I was experiencing the misery of having lost Bhagavan. But after beginning to read the treasure of Sri Muruganar's verses, I was overcome with wonder and joy, feeling that those verses were a royal treasure shown by an elder brother, who after his father was the one who was graciously taking care of all his younger brothers, having preserved, collected, and saved for them the entire wealth of their father, the great emperor. Even in his old age, when his body had grown slack due to infirmity, no slackening occurred in the flow of divine poetry which poured forth from the tongue of Sri Muruganar, who lived for 83 years as a perfect example of true renunciation. Even when his hands had become so weak that his fingers could no longer hold a pen, beautiful Tamil verses used to well forth from his tongue each day. And as he sang those verses, I used to write them. Sadhuvam Swamigal used to write those verses at that time. Muruganar himself says that his verses have to be codified and arranged by Sadhuvam Swamigal only. Thus, remaining clear and steady in mind, even then, till the end of his bodily life, he was like a cloud which unceasingly showered sublime Tamil verses. Finally, in the Tamil year Pramadisha, on Tuesday, the 12th of Avani, the 28th August 1973, which was the day of the new moon and the Magha star, at 7:45 am, the great poet Sri Muruganar attained Videha Kaivalya, drowning in the ocean of Sri Ramana's feet. Finally, in the Tamil year Pramadisha on Tuesday, the 12th of Avani, 28th August 1973, which was the day of the new moon and the Magha star, at 7:45 am, the great poet Sri Muruganar attained Videha Kaivalya, drowning in the ocean of Sri Ramana's feet. Among all the great poets who have lived in Tamil Nadu in recent times, Sri Muruganar is the greatest. Sadhuvam Swamigal has this right to present that fact because he himself is a great poet. Many of us would not be able to say this fact, though we will feel like it, because we don't have enough knowledge about that area. But Sadhuvam Swamigal is very deeply learned, and he says, among all the great poets who have lived in Tamil Nadu in recent times, Sri Muruganar is the greatest. Should not forget that was the time when Bharadiyar also lived. But since perfect self-effacement was his very nature, he did not expose his talents to the world like other poets, for he had no desire to be respected and honored either by the people or by the rulers, and hence Tamil Nadu has not been able to know him clearly as he is. Since our present age is a time when atheism and desire for worldly pleasure have begun to spread and dance wildly in Tamil Nadu, there is no wonder in the fact that Tamilians have failed to recognize Sri Muruganar, in whose poetry is surging spiritual knowledge, humility, and an abundance of profound import. Since, acting always in accordance with the warning given by his Sadguru, Sri Ramana, in verse 37 of Ulladu Narpadu Anubandham, which goes like this: even though all the worlds are renounced as mere straw, and even though all the scriptures are in hand, for those who have come under the sway of the vicious harlot of praise, to escape from slavery to her is very difficult. That is an Ulladu Narpadu Anubandham verse, which cautions all of us against seeking fame, because that subtle glory will push us back into the world, the samsara. Even though all the worlds are renounced as mere straw, and even though all the scriptures are in hand, for those who have come under the sway of the vicious harlot of praise, or to escape slavery to her is very difficult. This has been a motto of Sadhuvam Swamigal also. He used to repeat this very often, that, "Oh Bhagavan, please take me before I gain any kind of fame for what I am serving you with." Sri Muruganar lived without ever straying, even through forgetfulness, into the path leading to that cruel pit called fame, praise, or flattery. Most people have had no opportunity to know his real greatness because of this. Because he knew well that the real fruit of attaining Bhagavan Ramana as Guru is not to attain siddhis, not to assume thereby the position of Guru, becoming like one blind man leading other blind men, not to have the glory of having one's statue carved or molded and installed in the middle of the street to be praised and garlanded by the world, not to stretch out one's two legs eagerly so that all devotees may crowd around one, fall down prostrate and perform pada puja, not to parade oneself everywhere in order to have one's picture published in all the magazines, nor to gain name, fame, and glory in any other way. Sri Muruganar has not been recognized or correctly understood even by many of the learned people of Tamil Nadu. In answer to his old friends who asked him, after renouncing worldly life and coming to Sadguru Sri Arunachala Ramana, what have you become? Who are you? Where are you? What is your state? In Sri Ramana Jnana Bodham, Sri Muruganar sings. From here on, something about Ramana Jnana Bodham, where Muruganar's Anubhava is said, is shared by Sadhuvam Swamigal. He has shared Upadesa Saram, then Ulladu Narpadu, and Guru Vachaka as the Prasthana Trayam. Now he is going to the work Sri Ramana Jnana Bodham by Muruganar. He is quoting some verses as to how Muruganar says he has attained the final state of self-realization by Bhagavan's grace. By the look of his silent grace, the supreme reality, I am abiding merely as the true nature of the self. Verse number 2086. by the look of his silent grace, the supreme reality, I am abiding merely as the true nature of the self. All imagination having been removed, I have ceased to exist and am abiding in Shiva as the non-dual supreme consciousness. All imagination having been removed, I have ceased to exist and am abiding in Shiva as the non-dual supreme consciousness. Verse 2088. You asked me, he's addressing the other people, you asked me to describe the experience I have attained, the state of Kaivalyam, which is of the nature of silent experience, which blazes forth in the heart as infinite knowledge, devoid of the deluded mental imagination of knowing otherness, is not possible to express. You asked me to describe the experience I have attained, the happiness of Kaivalyam, which is of the nature of the silent experience, which blazes forth in the heart as infinite knowledge, devoid of the deluded mental imagination of knowing otherness. This is impossible to express. Verse 2089. By the experience of self-knowledge, which shines clearly in the heart as the imperishable reality, the golden feet of the Lord, who is my Father, I am abiding as the non-dual, pure space of light. By the experience of self-knowledge, which shines clearly in the heart as the imperishable reality, the golden feet, the imperishable reality is the golden feet of the Lord, who is my Father. I am abiding as the non-dual pure space of light. 2094. These verses of Shri Muruganar clearly reveal that he has been blessed to attain self-knowledge, the true aim of human life, and they also thereby enable us to understand the bounteous quality of Shri Bhagavan's grace. I'll repeat that. These verses of Shri Muruganar clearly reveal that he had been blessed to attain self-knowledge, the true aim of human life, and these verses also thereby enable us to understand the bounteous quality of Shri Bhagavan's grace. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with a self-enquiry session by Sri Dileep Simha ji.
Namo Ramana. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundaramukam Tamraravindekshanam Bhaktabhishtavarabhaya Pradakaram Kaupinamotrojvalam Svatmanandarasanubhuti vivasham Sarvanavadyangakam Shrimantam Shri Ramaneshwaram Guruvaram Yogasanadhyasitam Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahmamatram Yahamaham Sakshat Atmarupena Bhati हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जतव पवनचलनरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. Namo Ramana. We will commence the Atma Vicharam by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham and meditating on it by his abundant grace. I'll be reading his Upadesham from the book Guruvachaka Kovai, from the chapter Investigation into the Truth. The subtopic is the state of immortality. Verse 225. The profitless ghost-like ego that dances, taking the dirty form of flesh to be I, veils the knowledge of one's immortal Satchidananda nature, which bestows delight. So, the immortality that is never lost is only for those in whom the ego has been destroyed. I repeat the verse. The profitless ghost-like ego that dances, taking the dirty form of flesh to be I, veils the knowledge of one's immortal Sat Chit Ananda nature, which bestows delight. So, the immortality that is never lost is only for those in whom the ego has been destroyed. We have been listening to Sadhu Swami about Muruganar Swami, and Sadhu Swami seemed to have said, which Akka often keeps quoting, that if we have taken a place for business and if we do keep on doing whatever, if we keep on earning through that place enough money to only to pay the rent and not make any profit out of it, we will be the most worst businessman. That is what Sadhu Swami quotes a contemporary example to make us clearly understand that when we hold on to this ghost-like ego, because it is, if we try to find where this ego I is, which is what the quest Who Am I makes us do, we find that it is not there. Not only that, we feel that we are not progressing anywhere because it is the ego I itself making the quest, and it is looking for an objective experience because it is so habituated, as Bhagavan says here, that what does that ego I does? It takes, it binds, it makes us feel that we are this flesh, this body on the one side. And the other side, Bhagavan says, it believes that it is the real conscious existence, which is capable of knowing the body and doing everything, and therefore it is this body which is very conscious and capable of knowing and doing. This is what the ego does. It is the Chit Jada Granthi. Now, when we are taken this ego in a more, again, a contemporary way, we can say, how do we take it, if you ask? Like we have now entered this environment called Google Meet, where we are in many different locations, but we are right now in this as though we are like a group of people on one environment. Like that, when we take on this ghost-like ego, an environment, we can say, what does it do? Bhagavan explains, it binds the consciousness, which is ever free, to this fleshy body. And so long as we are in that environment, or so long as Sadhu Swami says that we are taken that for rent, And what are we doing? If we analyze our own life, we know that it is from the date of the birth till now, it is only to take care of this body, to take care of its well-being. That means we are only paying or earning enough through this body only to pay the rent. Sadhu Om Swami therefore says, the one who has taken this body to the rent, are you a wise businessman? Are you a real wise enough of having utilized this space? And therefore, but Sadhu Om Swami is saying this body is very much necessary for us to get to know something that is of a higher plane, which is why Bhagavan says to whosoever comes to him with the mortal coil, inquire, who am I? So therefore, there is something higher, which is only possible by listening through this body, through the ears, to contemplate it through it, and then transcend it here and now. But if we don't transcend and we continue to pay the rent or earn enough to only take care of the well-being of the body, what is it that we earn? In here, Bhagavan says, we are going to earn only one thing, that we are a mortal people. So long as we are engaged with this body, we will have the fear of the death. We will never experience our real nature of Satchidananda, which is the immortality, which is never lost, it is not that we have to gain the immortality. It is not that we have to gain the Satchidananda Swarupa. It is our real nature. Bhagavan is saying here very clearly. But we have lost sight of it, or we are not feeling that we are that. We are feeling that we are this body which is going to perish. Therefore, the fear of perishing, because everything associated with the body, everything we see keeps perishing. We earn money, it perishes. We earn wealth and family, that also we lose. Everything, including this body, will perish. So in a way, if we hold on to this rental property only for its well-being, we will be only paying its rent, and in return what we get is only whatever we have earned, we are going to lose here only. So Bhagavan is saying, this mortal coil, this, once we have rented it here, the only purpose is to inquire, who am I? And find out our true Satchidananda Swarupa here and now. The reason we say here and now is because it is in this moment only. We cannot, the mind may say, okay, if you keep on practicing. No, it's actually every time we practice, it is only at this moment. Therefore, the realization also happens at this moment. Therefore, it is really important for us to truly hold on to that inquiry, because it's only here at this moment the truth gets revealed, that we are in reality the Satchidananda itself. And by realizing it, we also realize that we are in truth immortal. And in that thing, now we understand that the ego, which is just an imaginary ghost-like thing, which was binding us to the body, we realize that it may still continue to appear like a mirage, Bhagavan says, but we will no more get deluded that mirage as water which can quench the thirst. That means we will be very clear that the ego is not something which will bestow happiness for us. Happiness is in our true nature, and therefore we will, by realizing, by inquiring, who am I in the now, we will verily recognize that we are the pure Satchidananda Swarupa here and now, and therefore we will never hold on to the ego. for any other further happiness. We will be self-content in our own nature. So that will eventually destroy the ego, says Bhagavan. This is the state of immortality, which Bhagavan says. So Bhagavan has given us Atma Vichara. Who am I? The inquiry, which when which can happen only in the now. So as soon as we hold on to the inquiry, it is happening. Or in this now, we are attending to the body, or in this very moment, we are attending to the mind, to the body, to the mortality, or paying the rent. Or by inquiring, who am I? We are earning the profit of finding out our real nature, which is that of Satchidananda. And by recognizing that as our real nature, we transcend this limitation of the ego. That is why Atma Vichara is not only a practice, but it is also the very, in the very moment we practice it, we are established in that truth in our real nature, in the transcendental truth of the ego. That is what the Atma Vichara does to us. Therefore, this is the most direct path which Bhagavan has blessed us with his abundant grace, with which alone we have come to this most direct path. For the next 10 minutes, let us practice Atma Vichara. In Atma Vichara, no matter how many thoughts come, no matter what is the nature of those thoughts, whether it is good, bad, ugly, spiritual, we all have to judiciously and diligently inquire, to whom is this? And then the answer will come, it is for me only. And further, when we inquire, who am I? What do I really refer to as I? What is the source from which these thoughts are rising? When I, instead of pursuing the thought, when I go back to the source of it, when I quest in for it internally, we get back to our real nature. With repeated practice, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength, will become silent enough to reveal that truth which alone is. With his abundant grace, for the next 10 minutes, let us practice Atma Vichara. Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with a sharing by Dr. Kalarani Rengasamy.
ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய. அருணாச்சலமென அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் அருணாச்சல. நமோ ரமணா டு ஆல். With the grace of Bhagwan, we are meditating on Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam, very graciously given to us by Bhagwan in Tamil. And the last satsang we saw Bhagwan saying, leave the attitude of giving more importance to the valuable objects and less importance to the objects which you think less valuable. Sadhaka should find no difference between a friend and an enemy. He is supposed to treat them alike. One has to see both the Sukha Dukkha as the same, because nothing is going to last long. We feel happy about a particular happening, but till what time? Till another happiness or a sorrow comes to us. When we are stricken with a sorrow, the happiness that we were enjoying is gone. So Bhagavan says happiness or sorrow, both are not going to be with us forever. They are subject to change any time. So don't give importance to them. Treat them equally. And he gives an example of an earthen pot and a golden utensil. See, both are same. Find no difference between them. And the next stanza Bhagavan says, பொறி விடயத்தில் ஒருபோதும் விருப்பம் உறவிடாது, முன் மமதை ஒட்டி அறிவு உரமுற்று ஆசை பயம் அற்று என்றும் ஆன்மாவில் ரமிப்பன் மாசிலா யோதிமதி. The five senses are focusing on outside world. They are dragging by the worldly objects. But the desire to have them, possess them, emerge from our mind that is inside. I want that this. I am not satisfied with what I have or what I get. I want something better. I want to reach next level in what all I do. Even a child who is in the LKG talks about next level, always aspiring for something. I don't enjoy what I have now. So Bhagavan says, don't allow senses to have desire through mind. பொறிவிடயத்தில் ஒருபோதும் விருப்பம் உறவிடாது. Why? Because that will pave way only for mamahara, the sense of mind. Oh, this is my, I must own it, and don't allow mamahara to enter the mind. Drive off mamahara. Mun manmadai utti. When there is no mamahara, there is no question of desire at all. Once a devotee came with a tiger skin and persuaded Bhagavan a lot, and at last succeeded in convincing Bhagavan to sit on that tiger skin. Some days later, another devotee came and there was no one in the hall, so he went and asked Bhagavan, Bhagavan, can I please have your tiger skin? that you are sitting on? Immediately Bhagwan gave it to him. How? Because he did not have any attachment or mamahara towards the tiger skin. Un mamadai oti. So there is no desire or any fear of something. Only when we have a desire or attachment towards an object, we will have fear. We get a doubt whether my desire gets satisfied or not. Or I fear whether the object which I am having now, will I be losing it? Will it go away from me? What is going to happen? I am afraid. I have earned a lot. Will it go out of me? Then I will spend all my time and energy to safeguard that, of course, with fear only. So Bhagwan says, don't give room for desire and don't be with full of fear always. So a person with no desire and fear will automatically dwells in Atma only. He alone is Mahayogi. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. அருணாச்சலமென அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறு
Namo Ramana. We move to this part of the satsang where we are meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre written by Ganapati Muni, and they have been compiled in this format and given to us by Bhagavan Ramana himself. And we were meditating on the verse 35 where Ganapati Muni sings, Yadi na janani stanyam dadyat shishorbatakagatihi Yadi pashupatihi krodam kuryat pashoravanam kutaha Yadi padajusham acharyatvam nihamsina samshayam brahmashatapara bhutayete tarantu bhavam katam Ramanam gurum namami 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 Bandeno ninna bali nondu Ramana Bhavada ಕತ್ತಲೆ ಹರಿಸೋ ದಿವ್ಯ ಚರಣ ಬಂದೆನೋ ಬಂದೆನೋ ತಾಯಿ ಮುನಿಯಲು ಮಗುವು ತಾವುಳಿವುದೇನು ಪಶುಪತಿಯೇ ಮುನಿಯಲು ಪಶು ನರಳದೇನು ತಾಯಿ ಮುನಿಯಲು ಮಗುವು ತಾವುಳಿವುದೇನು ಪಶುಪತಿಯೇ ಮುನಿಯಲು ಪಶು ನರಳದೇನು ವಿಧಿಯದುರು ನಿಂತ ಮಾನವನ ಬಗೆಯೇನು ವಿಧಿಯದುರು ನಿಂತ ಮಾನವನ ಬಗೆಯೇನು ನಿನ್ನ ಕೃಪೆ ತಪ್ಪಿದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಗತಿಯೇನು ಬಂದೆನೋ ನಿನ್ನ ಬಳಿ ನೊಂದು ರಮಣ ಭವದ ಕತ್ತಲೆ ಹರಿಸೋ ದಿವ್ಯ ಚರಣ ಬಂದೆನೋ ಬಂದೆನೋ. Ganapati Muni is in despair. He is asking Ramana, "Oh Ramana, if a mother does not take care of the child, so what is the fate of that child? What if the Pashupati is not taking care of his own Pashus? What is the fate of those Pashus? And what is the fate of that disciple who is sitting under the feet of the Guru and waiting to get an answer for his doubts? And the Guru is in silence and not answering to that disciple. What would happen to that disciple? And we who are afflicted by thousands and hundreds of illusions, how will we ever cross this ocean of bhava? Says Ganapati Muni. I remember a story where when Shiva and Parvati are in Kailasa and Shiva is meditating and Parvati wonders, what is Shiva doing? So she finds an opportunity and asks Shiva, "Oh Swami, what are you doing?" And Shiva replies, "Oh Devi, I am feeding all the beings on the earth." And Parvati is surprised. He seems to be sitting and closing his eyes. How is he feeding all the creatures on the earth? Let me test him. So she sees a small ant which is going in the Kailasa, on the rocks of Kailasa. So she quickly picks up that ant in her palm and hides that palm behind her back and asks her Swami once again, "Oh Swami, you are telling that you are feeding all the living beings. Is that really true? Are you really feeding all the beings?" And Shiva replies, "Yes, Devi. What is the doubt? I am feeding all the beings on the earth." And Parvati in great excitement says, "You cannot feed this ant which is there in my palm." And Shiva says, "Please show me that being that you have in your hand, what you have in your hand." And Parvati Devi opens her hand. And when she opens her hand, she finds that that little ant that she had in her palm has a small crystal of sugar in its mouth. So, the mother, the Supreme, who is much more kinder than one's own mother, is taking care of everyone. We may not understand the magnanimity, the big picture of His divine love. The Kannada translation of it, Dr. N.S. Lakshminarayana Bhatta says, "Vidhi eduru ninta manavana bhagayenu." What will happen to those who are standing in front of Vidhi, in front of fate, that we are not able to change the fate? There's this beautiful story of a crow which is waiting near the doors of the heaven, the Swarga. And all the gods, they have a meeting in Swarga, in the court of Indra. So they are all passing through that gate. And when all the gods are going, the god of death, Yamadharmaraya, he is also going in that way inside the gate. And he sees a little crow sitting on one of the trees there. And he sees that crow and gives a chuckle and smiles at that crow and goes inside the doors of the heaven to attend the meeting. And the crow notices that the Lord of Death, Yamadharmaraya, has seen him and given a smile. So The crow is terrified. It thinks that something wrong is going to happen. So the crow prays to its leader, who is the Garuda Maharaja, the Garuda, and he says, "Oh Garuda, please come and save me." So Garuda appears before that crow and asks, "What happened? Why are you sad? Why did you call me?" And the crow says, "Yamadharmaraya, while passing through this the door, he smiled at me, and I'm afraid that it's the Lord of Death who saw me. I'm terrified that something wrong is going to happen. So please save me." And the Garuda says, "Don't worry, my little friend. I will protect you. So get on to my back." And he makes the crow sit on his back, and he flies far, far away, crossing many, many oceans. And there in a cave, he places that crow there and says, "You are safe here. You are very, very far from the sight of Yama. Nothing will happen to you." He assures him like that, and he comes back in that same speed, supersonic speed. He comes back and he waits for Yama to finish his meeting and come out. And when Yama is coming out, he sees that there is the crow which was sitting there is not to be found. And in that place he sees Garuda. And he asks, "Oh Garuda, what happened to that crow which was sitting here?" And Garuda says, "Oh Yamadharmaraya, did you think that you are going to cause trouble to one of my clan, one of the Pakshis? So I have taken him very, very far and kept him in a cave which is very, very far beyond these 7 seas." And Yama laughs at Garuda and says, "Oh Garuda, when I saw this little creature, his death came to me in a flash, and it reminded me that his death is coming in a few moments. Very, very far away in a cave, he is going to be eaten up by a snake. So this is the death. But I was just wondering, this little crow which is sitting here very, very far, how can it fly there and reach that place to attain its death? So I was just wondering, and you have solved the puzzle, and you have told me how that has happened. So this is the fate. This is the vidhi, that nothing can be changed. What is destined to happen is surely going to happen, and what is not destined to happen will not happen. There is a beautiful story which Ramana says of a great king called Bali Chakravarti. He is doing tapasya on Lord Brahma, and pleased by his tapasya, Brahma appears before him and asks, "Oh Chakravarti, ask me a boon. I will give you that boon." And Bali Chakravarti says, "Oh Brahma, you are the one who has written the fate of all the beings. So if I am going to ask you a boon, are you going to change your own fate? Are you going to change what you have written? Are you going to erase it and write something new? Or if I ask something, is this already written in the fate, saying that this is going to happen? I am going to ask you this varam and you are going to give this varam. Is this also already destined and written? So what is the use of me asking any boon or asking any varam? What is destined to happen is surely going to happen, and you are not going to change what is destined. So what vara shall I ask?" asks Bali Chakravarti, and Brahma is pleased by his enquiry and understanding, and he says, "That is true, and it is written that you will ask this question to me, and I will be pleased, and I will give you some astras as the varam." So he gives those astras that he is destined to get, and he disappears. So this is the fate. Nothing can be changed. Then what is there in our hand. Ramana says, what is destined to happen will surely happen. But what is the only free will that we have is to separate ourselves from the destiny. Instead of moving outward to trying to change the destiny, to just be a witness to what is happening, which is as designed by the Supreme, because the Supreme has a big picture. We are part of that big drama, and He has given each one of us an important role to play. But the funny thing is, we are playing this role, but we do not know what is the next step in our acting. But the director knows every step. So He is giving us directions every moment. So the drama is going to reveal as it is written by the Supreme Director. But what is the free will that we have? Not to get attached to the role that we are playing, to understand that what we are playing is only a role. When the drama finishes, the role, its character finishes, you become yourself. That yourself, I am all the moment. Even when I am playing all the roles, I am what I am. So Ramana says, you have the free will to be free from the role that you are playing, but to abide as what you really are. And by abiding as you are, by abiding as your true self, you can cross over all the difficulties, all the problems, which are only the illusion. All the problems exist only for the role that you are playing. And in any drama, there needs to be some conflict. There needs to be some challenges where the character grows and the story takes a different direction. So in Ramayana, if Mandara had not come and stopped the Pattabhisheka of Rama, there would have been no Ramayana at all. So a story should have a conflict, should have a challenging twist and turns, which makes the story interesting. At the same time, one need not get carried away with the story. One can understand that you can enjoy the drama, you can enjoy the laughter and blues. And remember, the play will pass. But you are not the role that you play, but you are the self. You are that which is eternal and that which is full of joy and peace. And to teach us this, to make us free from all the bondages, Ramana has entered our life. We may not understand the big picture, but Ramana gives us the path of surrender. He says, surrender to the Supreme. He knows the best. So He will take care of everything. He will guide you like the ace director, the Nayaka, the Nataraja. He will guide you at every moment. Surrender to Him. Surrender outside and inquire within and get back to your own true nature, what you really are, beyond all the masks that you wear, what you are when all these masks, all these roles that you play are taken away from you. Turn towards that pure self, says Ramana. And Ramana has come to teach us this truth. And we salute Ramana and his presence in our lives and in our heart. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We continue the satsang with the chanting of a few verses of Aksharamanamalai by Srimati V. Radha.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, கோபமில் குணத்தோய் குறியாயனை கொள்ள குறையன் செய்தேன் அருணாச்சலாம். கௌதமர் போற்றும் கருணை மமலையே கடைக்கணி தாழ்வாய் அருணாச்சலாம். சகலமும் விழுங்கும் கதிரொளியின மன ஜலஜமலர் தீடருணாச்சலாம். சாப்பாடுன்னை சாதுணவாயான் சாந்தமாய் போவன் அருணாச்சலாம். சித்தம் குளிர கதிரஸ்தம் வைத்த முதவையை திரருள்மதி அருணாச்சலாம். சீரையழித்து நிர்வாணம செய்தருள் சீரையழித்தருள் அருணாச்சலாம். சுகக்கடல் பொங்க சொல்லுணர்வடங்க சும்மா பொருந்திடங்க அருணாச்சலாம். சூது செய்தென்னை சோதி அதினி உன் ஜோதி ஒரு காட்டருணாச்சலாம். செப்படி வித்தை கற்றிப்படி மயக்க விட்டுருபடி வித்தை காட்டருணாச்சலாம். சேராயனின்மை நீராயுருகி கண்ணீராற்றழிவேன் அருணாச்சலாம். செய்யன தள்ளீர் செய்வினை சுடுமலன் உய்வகையே துரை அருணாச்சலாம். சொல்லாது சொல்லினி சொல்லரனில் என்று சும்மா இருந்தாய் அருணாச்சலாம். அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம். அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம். அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம். அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம். அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம். அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி அக்ஷரமணமாலை வாழி. நமோ ரமணா.
Namo Ramana. We conclude today's satsang with Ashtottara puja to Bhagavan. This will be done by Sri Dileep Simha in his altar, and the chanting of the Ashtottaram will be done by Vaibhavji and Prarthana, and followed by Kumari Uma Shripati. The Arati song will be sung by Dr. Pratibha Sundaresh.
नमो रमण. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्री रमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि. ॐ महासेन महंसेन जाताय नमः. ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः. ॐ गुरवे नमः. ॐ अखण्ड संविदाकाराय नमः. ॐ महोजसे नमः. ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः. ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः. ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः. ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः. ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः. ॐ कमनीय सुचारित्राय नमः. ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः. ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः. ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः. ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः. ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः. ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः. ॐ तीव्राय नमः. ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः. ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः. ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः. ॐ तपोमयाय नमः. ॐ उदासीनाय नमः. ॐ महायोगिने नमः. ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। लाम्बुजाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितः शश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूडिकाखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईद्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्री शोणाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ हृच्चान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणात् बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगभिषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्री अष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಯೇ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡು ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಗಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರ್ಣ ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ नमो महर्षि बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय